Hi, you guys. Quick update. I blinked and I'm over 130 pages into this book. I'm on chapter 18 and it has gotten so good. I am loving this book and this series and I cannot stop. I am obsessed. So basically, I think that the vibe of this book started off a lot different than the other books. I think those other 3 to 4 books that I had read prior to this were very much still setting up the story, and now that we are in the thick of it, I think now we're really just delving in. So this started so much darker, in my opinion, and deeper than the other books, especially because of how Air of Fire turned out, and it makes me so sad, but it's so good because this started off with Dorian, and if we know what happened with Dorian in Air of Fire with the collar, and so for it to be in his POV and he's being controlled by the magic is so like he's the collar and everything like that. It's so sinister and dark and just fantastic. So good. I loved it. I am loving it. And it's honestly scary for me because Dorian is my favorite character and we are almost 150 pages in and he's still under the influence of the collar. And yes, they're launching this whole rescue mission for Adian and all this stuff, but Selena might kill him. I know she won't, but like she can. And that's really scary because I can't figure out what's going to happen, you know? So Dorian's story is so good. I just want him to be utilized more. I think at this point, he just hasn't been utilized and his full potential hasn't been recognized. And at this point, I'm like, okay, we're almost 4.5 books and when are we really going to see what he can do and his power and his strength and all of that? So I'm eagerly waiting. I know that it's just being set up to do that, but I almost kind of wish they would hurry the F up and get there because I just think a lot of it is just his waiting period. And I can't remember if I said this in my last vlog, but I think that Sorsha to Dorian is what Sam was to Selena. And so I'm excited to see how he changes as a person from this because it's so sad, but I think this will be his emergence into his power and I'm really excited to see it and see where the story goes from there. So his arc I'm liking. I feel like I can't comment very much on it because not much has happened with his arc yet, but I'm excited to see where it'll even go from here. Aelin is good. Aelin is being Aelin, except it's so crazy to me how good this writing is that as soon as she is back in Rifthold and the Assassin's Keep and the palace and everything like that, her demeanor just becomes so Selena. And it's so cool to me how the shift is so, I don't know what it is because it's nothing stated outright, but the shift in the way that she acts is so distinct in my opinion and so unique about how she gets influenced by her surroundings. And I think it's so cool. I think it shows how gifted of an author Sarah J. Maas is because she's able to do that. And I love that this time you can see how much her time with Rowan and her time in the previous book has impacted her now because it shows how she's changing her decisions and her character growth and how she's coming into her own. And I really like that. I think that the other thing I really like is that she healed the entire Air of Fire book. In retrospect, was just about her healing. And I think it's so badass to see how her healing has now impacted her now because I think she credits Sam so much already in this book, more than anything else. And she talks about Sam, and I love that. I think I said this in one of my previous reading vlogs, but I felt like she wasn't even acknowledging Sam or what he did for her or the impact he had on her. But in this, she does it so much, especially when she comes back to Erebin and the Assassin's Keep. And I think she acknowledged her growth herself when she said previously when she was Selena, she would have just came and killed everyone in the Assassin's Keep and just gone for Arabin and gone for the king, and that would have been that. But now she's being a lot smarter and she's being so queenly, and I think it's really cool. And I think that now I'm going to really like her because, yes, she's going to make mistakes and she is hot-headed and all of these things. And I think she's a little bit of a hypocrite sometimes, but she's really growing into herself as a character. And that's something I really like to see. So that's awesome. Kale, though, girl, what happened to you? I thought that I was going to have the Kale reckoning in this book and that we were going to, he's going to see reason. He is with the rebels now. He's gonna bust Dorian out and this and that and the third. Bro just came in, fought with Selena the second that he saw her and just insulted the shit out of her. Why did he do that? Why did he do that? He knew she was an assassin, and as soon as she's an assassin, he's mad about it. He knew she was Aelin, and as soon as she does Aelin things, he's mad about that. But then he wants to kill the king anyway. So, and I feel like he's acting as if she's this bloodthirsty demon child, whatever, when she was the one that smuggled all the innocents out in Crown of Midnight. And I'm confused. So confused there, and I don't know why he's so mad at her and why he hates her fairy. I mean, I guess I get it, or I think it's part of his character, but he hates her fairy side. I don't know what he thought was going to happen. Dorian ate him up when he said, you cannot choose which parts of her to love. Seriously, ate him up with that. Aedion is so a non-factor to me. I don't understand what this whole heist is to get him out besides the fact that he's in her court. I don't think he's done anything. But the heist to get him out is so fun to read about. I love a good heist. What is he doing here? Why is he so important that we need to bust him out? And why are we focused more on Aedion than we are Dorian? That's what I don't understand. And another thing, Chaol in this entire book is like, I'm doing all of this for Dorian. I'm doing all this for Dorian. Girl, you treated him like shit the last 3 books. What do you mean you're doing this all for Dorian? You just suddenly had a change of heart, and what? You did leave him. But Selena saying, oh, you left him. Girl, you left people too. What you talking about? I don't know. They're a little bit hypocritical. Chaol and Selena, I don't actually think that they like each other. But the best line on this book that I've read so far is when Selena said she loved Sam more than Chaol. That was all of the retribution I needed to keep going and to sympathize and empathize and plow forward. And then, who else do we have? Oh, we have Manon. So I don't know what her significance is at this point. We've only seen her twice, I think, so far. But I can't wait because I know people say that this is like her book. But girl, show up soon. I don't know what she's doing. She's kind of pissing me off, though. I liked her in the first book. I thought she was a bad bitch. But and I know that people say she is a bad bitch and that this is a book that proves the baddie she is. But she fired Asterin. She's okay with doing all this shit. She's scared of her grandma. Okay. So I'm excited to see hopefully her be said bad bitch. But the one thing I did pick up on is they introduced Elodie. I think they say Elide in the audiobook, but that doesn't even sound like... I'm sorry if that's your name, but that doesn't sound like a name for me. So I'm going to call her Elodie because I think that's a really pretty name. But they introduced Elodie as Manon's servant, and I'm excited because I keep getting edits on my TikTok because sometimes I read my books out loud. Wow, I've been talking for 9 minutes. Let me speed this up. But sometimes I read this out loud and clearly my phone listens to me because I get so many TikToks on Queen of Shadows right now. And I know that Elodie's love interest is somebody that we only briefly met in Heir of Fire. I'm not even going to go into it because I don't think I'm supposed to know that. So I'm going to choose to put it out of my brain. But the one thing I did notice is that they introduced Elodie, and Elodie is Marion's daughter. And I don't know if Selena knows that she's alive. So, because both her parents were killed. So I'm excited to see what the arc is there because maybe that will be a really fun reunion for everyone because I don't think, like I said, I don't think people know that she's alive. So that's so exciting. And I'm pumped. Every time I see Abraxos, though, all I can picture is that dragon from How to Meet Your Dragon, or the black one. You know what I'm talking about? That's all I can picture. So it's hard to picture him as a badass, but I digress. I'm having such a good time. I think I started this yesterday or 2 days ago. And like I mentioned, I'm almost 150 pages in. They are about to bust out Adian. And I better see my baby Dorian saved. That is the one thing. Please get him out of the clutches of his father. Like, why is he just in the back of everyone's mind? Because he's right here, forefront of mine. Why is he in the back of everyone else's? I don't know. Can't wait. Also, I really liked this quote that I just read, and I wanted to remind myself to read it. When you shatter the chains of this world and forge the next, remember that art is as vital as food to a kingdom. Without it, a kingdom is nothing and will be forgotten by time. I have amassed enough money in my miserable life to not need any more, so you will understand me clearly when I say that wherever you set your throne, no matter how long it takes, I will come to you and I will bring music and dancing. I don't know, something about that quote really stuck with me, not just because of the dedication that Selena just seems to, or Aelin, I guess, just seems to amass just by being who she is, but that quote about art, I don't know, it just really stuck with me because what a statement to say a kingdom is nothing without art. I don't know, I really liked that. Anyways, I'm gonna keep reading. I cannot wait, and I will tell you guys what I think as I keep going. Hi guys. I think this is so funny when I slick my hair back like this because I think it's so unflattering, but I just needed it out of my face and I couldn't deal with my bangs, so we're just gonna have to deal with, I feel like I kind of look like Elvis Presley. I wanted to give an update on Queen of Shadows because I think I'm about 50% of the way through. I'm 300 pages in, I'm on chapter 36, and I think I'm a little conflicted. I obviously really like this, but I find it to be a little slow. I think the things that people used to say about Air of Fire are what I think about this, because I think that this has slow pacing, and I think it's so much about the world building and setting things up that it's a little boring, or it's just a little slow. I thought it would pick up a little bit more now that Rowan walked into the picture, but it didn't. So I mean, he just walked into the picture and their reunion was really sweet. I think it shows how much they are bonded, which is really nice. But other than that, I just feel like a whole lot of nothing is happening right now. Chaol is being pissy. Aelin's being pissy. Adian is now being pissy after being recovered. I feel like everyone is forgetting about Dorian and being like, oh, he's way past saving. That's the one redeeming factor I have for Chaol, is that he is not giving up even though he ran away. But, you know, I digress. So I think that there's like a whole lot of nothing happening. I think that Manon storyline is getting pretty interesting. I liked the Elodie twist. I thought that was fun. I liked that she has something to do, and I like that it's kind of sinister what's happening with Duke Parrington and Caltaine and Vernon and everything that's happening in that. So I honestly find that part to be the most interesting. It just feels so disjointed from everything else right now. Lorcan is lurking, apparently, and I'm interested to see what happens there, because I thought he was part of Rowan's cadre, but they're kind of talking about him like he's evil, and I know he's blood oathed to Maeve, but you would think that, like, if Rowan said something, he would at least hesitate, or I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking, but that's a little bit confusing to me. So I just feel like a whole lot of nothing is happening. And I think the Dorian chapters are the hardest chapters, but they're the shortest ones. So it's so hard to kind of get into it. So yeah, I think it's a little bit slow at this point. I wanted to pick up, especially because I think that this is most people's favorite book. I think the Air of Fire was way more interesting than this at this point, but I do still like it. I'm obviously still bought in. I have read so much really quickly, and it's been a long time since I haven't audiobooked this at all. It's been a long time since I have sat and just binged a thick book like this. This is 650 pages, I think, and it's been like a minute. I don't think I've, in the recent years that I've been reading, ever read something this fat only through reading, and only through reading the physical book, because sometimes I'll switch mediums and things like that. So yeah, that's my update so far. I think that this is broken into multiple parts, so I'm hoping that I'm on chapter 36. I definitely, even though this is a lot, I really want to get to at least part 2 today. So let's see. I don't want to flip too much through it and spoil myself, but that's my update so far. I'm gonna keep going and I'll come back to you guys later. Excuse me, sorry, what? This has me gagged. I'm scared to turn the page. No. This guy, I'm telling you, easily top 1 villain of all time. More than the king, more than anyone I've ever thought of. It is this man. I'm like scared to turn the page. What's going to happen? Oh my god. Thank God I just immediately kept going, because my heart is beating out of my fucking chest. Jesus Christ. Okay, we're good, everything. Okay. Are you meaning to say that they just went through 400 pages to get the freaking wordstone from Arabin just for her to put it in a loose floorboard in her non-secure apartment that everyone knows about? And this idiot was like, I just needed to know if he was bad. Him killing Sam wasn't enough for you to know? Sometimes her decisions really just piss me off, like, Jesus Christ. I just finished part 1, and I have so many thoughts that I don't really know. I guess I'll keep going and try and put everything together. So let's start with Selena. So her, Aelin, I'm so conflicted on how I feel about her, because I was a little bit bored at the beginning, and then the last 3 to 4 chapters were so action-packed and so good, and the plot was so interesting that I was bought in again. But her personality just seems to waver so much. So I find it really hard to be rooting for her 100% of the time, in the sense that I am rooting for her because she's our protagonist, but her personality, I just don't know. I feel like she changes a lot. So I don't know how to feel about that. Now, the whole Arabin last 3 or 4 chapters were so good, so fantastic. I loved how cunning she was. I loved everything that she did with Lorcan too, although it seemed a little bit random or out of place. I'm hoping maybe we get more clarity on that as we keep going, because it just seems like it was done out of really nowhere. Like, why force him to do that in the first place? But her storyline was so good. I was really emotional when she went to say goodbye to Sam. And like I said, I feel like I really like her character now, because I think she's using everything in her past to form who she is now, rather than I feel like Selena was just running away from everything. And I think Aelin draws strength from the things that have happened to her. So I loved that. I loved most of the twist, but I feel a little bit undersold on Arabin's death. I thought it would be, I wanted him to suffer, and Aelin is not the type of protagonist where she's like, I'm better than that. She's not, and Selena specifically is not. And so I think in this situation, I know that Lysandra mangled him or whatever, but it didn't feel as like retribution for Sam's death that Lysandra got to do it. And so I feel a little bit undersold on that. And I also think it just kind of quietly happened. Like, she wasn't even there to witness it, and she just let it happen. And I think that's a little bit, or dissatisfied with that, I would say. Rowan and her, though, this like will they won't they tension, I need to know why he got scared and pulled away, because The angst is so good. But then she goes on and throws a tantrum and is like, Selena, don't fuck with me anymore. Like, girl, what are we saying here? How many times have you been wishy-washy with men in your life? Dorian, Kale, and now, Sam, hello, and now you draw away, and then all of a sudden all bets are off and everything is done and blah, blah, blah. Don't get it. The other thing I really want to know is how they can talk to each other in their brains, because they just do it, and it's just never explained. Oh, they can do this because XYZ. Because I don't think it's the car numb thing, because other people can't do that. So I wonder, but it's not a mate thing because he has another mate. And oh my God, the speech that she gave for Sam at his grave. And it was just so good because you knew he was like, he was there, and that he heard her say that. And one of the main things that really was so sad was that he didn't know who she really was. But he would have like loved her anyways, unlike Kale. It's really like heartwarming. I don't know why Sam's death like messes with me so much, but it's really like healing to know that she acknowledged like everything about him and their history, and that she was there, and that she shared it with Rowan, and I guess Aiden too, but like the depth which she shared with Rowan just made it seem so much more confirmatory, and it made me feel good about that. So that's everything that I have to say about that. I don't know really where we're gonna go from here, because she seems to be throwing this tantrum of like, don't touch me, Rowan. So I guess we're gonna see what happens with that. Kale, I don't know what sort of tantrum he has been throwing, but not only is he being, well, him and Selena, I actually just don't think that they ever liked each other. I've been preaching this since the beginning, that he was the wrong choice. It should have been Dorian. But aside from that, I really don't think that they ever liked each other. He's very holier than thou, but she's also very rebellious. And I just don't get it. I never get it, and I never will get it. So I don't know what's going to happen, because I know he has his like reckoning, I think, in the next 2 books. I'm patiently waiting for that. Okay. Manon, I'm sorry, why does everyone like her? I am confused, because I like Asterin. The witches, she is the only one that seems to even be giving a shit about anything else. Manon is just scared of her grandma the entire time. Why do people like her? I'm so confused. She says she's this big bad witch, don't disrespect me, blah blah bullshit, but Elodie and Asterin, I feel like, care more about the witches. And Elodie just found out she was half witch or part witch or 1/4 witch or whatever she is. And she cares more than Manon does. So can we move on from that, please? Like, can we get her to be the baddie that everyone claims that she is in this book? Because newsflash, I'm more than 50% of the way through it, and something big needs to happen for me to like her at this point. Unfortunately, because this is the most popular series of all time, I do get some spoilers on my For You page that I try and skip, but I do know that Dorian and Manon meet in this, and so I'm excited for that, just to see what that interaction will be like. And I'm wondering how Elodie and Lorcan ever meet, because they both seem, yeah, I just don't know how that is even gonna remotely happen. I'm excited to see how. And then again, Aiden is just a non-factor. I feel like he's just there. I hope him and Lysandra get together though, because that would be fun. And please, someone save Caltaine. I feel like Caltaine is just Lysandra in a different font. Can someone save her? Because poor girl is like suffering at the Duke and Vernon. Like, is anyone concerned for her? Is anyone gonna get her out of that situation? Hello? And then, excuse me, we are 388 pages into this book. How has no one gone back for Dorian? Selena is just like, oh my God, the word keys. Oh my God, the word stone. Oh my God, the word monster, word dog, whatever it is. Excuse me, can we go back and get my man? Because he is suffering. And no, hello, like, does no one remember him? Did everyone forget about him? Because I didn't, and I don't, because he's right here in the forethought of my widow's peak brain. But it doesn't seem to be that way for anybody else. And then I also really want to know why Selena lied about the blood oath to Adian about Rowan. I get it's a big deal and whatnot, but why did you lie? See, this is what I mean sometimes when she just pisses me off, because she just chooses to lie and then she's like, why are you questioning me? Maybe because you're a pathological liar. Have you ever thought of that? So that's my thought so far. I am super excited to keep going though, because this beheading was so anticlimactic, but that should have been for the king, because that's how he killed Sorsha. And again, what about Dorian? What about Dorian? Anyways, they better come back for him, or they better do something here to save my man. And Manon better get her shit together. And then, oh my god, but the witch plot is disgusting in a good way, but actually repulsive. I don't know if anybody has read Zodiac Academy, but I think it's in the last book where the king wants to breed with what's her face? God, what is that demon's name? Lance's sister, Clara? I can't remember the shadow bitch's name, but when they're trying to breed and then get Therics out of it, that is this in a nutshell. But this is way more repulsive because they are literally breeding them by the fucking dozen. Manon doesn't give a shit, and the Yellow Likes people fucking volunteered for that shit. Like, hello? Do none of you lack the forethought to be like, this is disgusting, maybe we should stop doing this? Maybe the King of Otterlin is a bad person, and why would we be supporting this? You have iron teeth, blue blood, iron nails. You're the baddest like fighters of all time, and yet you can't like stand up and take your shit back. That's how I feel about that. I am gonna keep going now. Super bought in, like I said, and I can't wait to keep going. And this next part is called Queen of Light, so they better do something to lighten Dorian's load, because the first part was called Lady of Shadows, which, when I think of shadows, I think of the Vogue princes, even though she is being called the Queen of Shadows because she's like dark on the inside or whatever. Like, hello, can we get with the program a little bit? Anyways, I'm gonna keep going and let you guys know what I think. Okay, are you fucking kidding me? She just said, I'll come back for you after Dorian just said his name. Just say you don't give a shit about him. Just say you do not give a shit about him. Just do it. For the love of God, please. Like, let's call a spade a spade. You do not give a shit about him. The only one that actually gives a shit about him is Kael. So you know what? I'm here for Kael. And I'm dead that Dorian rose from the depths of being controlled by a demon prince just to flirt with Manon. You know, if you got Riz, you got Riz. What can I say? What can I say? Excuse me, I'm sorry, what? What? No. There is no way. I finished it. I sat and finished this last night, which means that I read 400 pages in one day, which is absurd, especially for such a plot-heavy, lore-heavy book, but I just couldn't put it down. And I have so many thoughts. I'm gonna try and not repeat myself, but overall, really liked the story. I think that so much happened in this book, but I feel like a lot only happened in the last 30% of this book. Up until then, I was a little bit bored, and I just don't think a lot of the plot was that interesting in the beginning of this. Now, I think that people say that this is their favorite book in the series, but I don't know how you can like this more than Heir of Fire, because to me, Heir of Fire was perfection. This was still good, but I think this was more of a plot mover than a bookmark in the franchise, whereas I felt like Heir of Fire signified a big change. But nonetheless, the last 30% of this book I absolutely loved. I keep calling her Selena even though she's Aelin. Aelin loved her, especially towards the end of this. I think that her growth is fantastic. I think that she is a great leader, and my favorite thing about her is the way that she tricks people or manipulates people and anticipates how people are gonna fuck her over and then gets ahead of them. I really like that. She did that with Arabin, she did that with Lorcan, she did that with demon possessed Dorian, and I really, really, really liked that. And something that my favorite quote from this entire book was one by her where Kale asks her, you know, what if, you know, what if this just leads to more like pain and suffering? And then she says, then it's not the end. I loved that. And the other quote I really liked by her was, let's go rattle the stars. To me, that both of those are such, and the let's go rattle the stars is so true to her character. And the quote that she says to Kale about that not being the end, to me, that shows her growth as a protagonist in this, and I really liked that. Dorian, I feel like he's being sidelined so much, and I think maybe that's why I had such a problem, or not a problem, but you know, why I didn't love this book so much, is I feel like his story is being sidelined, especially considering how much happened to him, and then they just left him there by himself to figure this all out on his own. No one is staying with him. Kale is leaving. So I think that he's being sidelined in a way that doesn't sit right with me. So I'm hoping in the next books that is not the case. But yeah. And then Manon, like her entire arc with this book, she was okay with sacrificing the witches up until the last 3 of her chapters. So I don't understand why everyone loves her in this. I think now that she's turned the page, I think I can understand how people will love her from here on out. But up until this point, she was okay with sacrificing the witches. She was okay with doing all the shit to Asterin. And I know that it's like, oh, she's a bad bitch. She's like Iron Teeth Witch, black beak, blue blood, whatever the fuck. But she was fine with it. So I don't understand. She only realized she was not fine with it after she talked to her grandma. So to me, that's a little bit bizarre. And you know what? I grew to love Kale in this. I think I realized that he is one of the only human characters in this book, and how necessary his point of view is to ground the decision making, or to just voice, you know, when you have like an angel and a devil on your shoulder. I think it's so important to have humanity there. And I think that's what he does. A lot of the decisions that he makes, or the things that he says, yes, they're mean, yes, they're kind of petty, but he is human. And I think he's human in a world where he was taught to grow up a certain way. And now everything is changing so quickly, and it doesn't feel like anyone's confiding in him enough to really understand what's happening. So I really grew to love him. And Lorcan, I know that he's people's fave, but he literally only saved them because of Gabriel, which that whole plot seems to be so out of nowhere. Maybe that it's going to get explored more now, but it just seems out of nowhere. And then I will say, like I said, the last 30% of this, the twist in this was so good. I did not see that coming. When I read it, I was gagged, jaw dropped on, like literally, like, because the king being enslaved the whole time and him not being the bad guy. Gagged, absolutely gagged. I did not see that coming at all. That when I was reading that, I literally was like, and it stayed that way for like 4 chapters, that entire situation. So good. So good. That twist, I was literally gagged. And okay, I think that Manon and Dorian are mates, because out of everyone that was able to pull him out of there, he only came out of there for Manon. And then he like sensed her when she was at the end, you know, when she like away. Oh, Lysandra, I loved her in this book. Loved her, loved her, loved her. And anytime I think of Sam, it just pains me. But I think that this paid so much tribute to him. And the scene in the cemetery where like Rowan put a pebble there, and the quote that she says to him at the cemetery, enough. Like, no. Anyways, that is my thought of Queen of Shadows. I think I'm gonna land on a solid 4 stars for this. I liked it. I think that there were some things that I didn't like about it, but clearly I loved it enough to read. When I tell you I read this much, probably, or no, maybe not, that's a little bit of exaggeration. When I read like this much in one day, I'm not joking. I just sat in my bed comatose and was just the entire time. My mom was like, can you take a break? Your eyes are gonna go numb. But they didn't. So that is my Queen of Shadows reading vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think, what your thoughts are. Yeah, you're probably the only one watching this, and I know we already talked about it, but I want to hear your thoughts anyways down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!